Paul. Haley, thank you. That's my signal. Haley hit the recording button. That means we started. As people are joining, let's type yes if you can see my screen. Perfect. If for those of us who joined yesterday, we did some drawing. Today we're going to do the same thing because I love drawing. So take a moment and think, how would you visualize stress in a picture? Like if you have to draw stress for yourself or how you perceive stress, how would you draw it? You can pull it piece of paper in front of you and draw it, or you can just like think in your head how you would draw it. Once you're done, give us a hand raise. I'll call on you and see what you drew. Hi, Dwayne Brown.
Hi,
Physical
hi,
hand
hi.
or hello, hello, or virtual hand raise, whatever works. It's like 30 seconds. How would you visualize stress? Okay, Ashley, talk to us.
So I don't know if you can kind of see it, but just like a bunch of like scribbles, like I just think like of chaos, like in
Yeah,
my brain, like
yeah.
going in all kinds of different directions, like just no rhyme or reason for what I'm even doing on the paper.
And that's stressful in itself, right?
Yeah, like I'm stressed out even looking at this.
Yeah, so like the chaos being pulled in a different direction, you're spinning
Hmm.
around, so many things coming at you. Yeah. Who else? One more. Who else drew something? Hi, Natasha.
I drew something which is exactly like Ashley's. That's maybe why we're friends, because we think the same way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yours is like all the squiggly lines all over the
Yes.
and they interact. Okay, nice. One more. Who drew something? How would you visualize stress? Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us. John, do you get a chance to draw something?
No, I drew it in my mind, just pretty much like they did. Just I kind of visualize it as just like Ashley just being all over the place, and there's no rhyme or reason, and
Yeah.
yeah, it just stresses me out thinking about it. But
That's
yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as them.
That's exactly my goal is to induce some stress this afternoon for you all being here with us. And this get us started talking about a topic today, which is managing stress. When it comes to us being PVCs, our work can be stressful at times. So we'll look at some tools to help us manage stress in a more productive manner. So this is part of the intermediate sales fundamentals. These are more of the accountability and reinforcement sessions of the program. The good news is these sessions are only 90-minute long, not 3 hour like they were before. And we've been going through this cycle throughout this program, um, throughout this experience, and we've been spending a lot of time practicing ideas and concepts. And in our accountability and reinforcement sessions, we'll continue to do the same thing. Our goal is how can we continue to enhance this consultative selling framework, connecting, communicating value, confirming, collaborating, creating that client partnership. When we are stressed out, when we are being pulled in all different directions, we cannot do this effectively. We cannot devote our time to enhance our partnership with the client. We are not connecting because we are unfocused, right? We're not communicating in terms of their values because our mental attitudes. So tackling stress continue to help us be a partner with our client and is especially true in our world today because we operate in what we call today's business reality, where the client, the organization, Nestle, is asking us to do more. And they're asking us to do it better. and they're asking us to do it faster and with less. They want us to do it more, better, faster, with less. Take a moment and think. Where have you experienced this lately? And type it in the chat. When we think about this current business reality that many of us are operating in at Nestle Purina with our clinics, in our lives, we're asked to do more, better, with less. Type in the chat, where might have you experienced this lately? For me, for instance, being a trainer at Dale Carnegie, right? I'm not only doing the training, I'm also being asked to be part of sales conversations, editing video, and among other things, working on different projects. So I'm asked to do more, and I have less and less time for certain parts of my job, right? And I'm asked to turn this in faster. So I've got into a habit of asking, what's the deadline? So that, what is it for you? Go ahead and type in the chat.
Hey Tree, can you repeat what you want us to type in the chat one more time?
Yeah, when you think about this, where have you experienced this lately? Where you're being asked to do more with less resources, less time. Type in the chat. Natasha says overall. Okay.
And I can elaborate on that. It was just a lot to type.
Uh-huh. And then daily for Dwayne. Yeah. What kind of reporting, Megan?
I primarily do a lot of like quality assurance auditing, but then I run a lot of other reports for my manager so she can report back to the brand team. So for example, just this week, I've been doing around 15 reports for her to report back to the brand team, like product quality, health quality, package quality, just different trends, new products, inquiries and complaints on new products, all kinds of different things.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot, right? And you have to get them done quickly. And John, with enough time to get around to clinics, can you come off mute and discuss with us real quick?
Yeah, just time wise, yeah, I feel kind of like I'm just kind of like that squiggly line sometimes, just kind of all over the place. I'm defending over here, our supplements, and I've got to, but I need to get out to, another area, and it's just yeah, sometimes it feels like the time just runs out on you, and then you have a VIP tour you got to go to, or you got to work a conference, and it's like, oh, I need to be here, I need to be there. So
yeah, for sure. So John, stay off mute with us for a sec. With our clinics, what is it that they're asking us to do better and faster?
what the clinics are asking us to do, or what
Yeah,
management is asking us to do?
clinics, our clients.
Oh, our clients. Better and faster. I don't know if I have an answer for that. They just, I mean, they're not really demanding, but you do want to, I'm trying to get around doing lunch and learns to several clinics right now, and trying to fit them into my schedule. And it's just, and then when all the other stuff we're having to do, it just makes it a little more challenging
Okay.
For me right now.
Okay. Who would like to chime in on that? And this is just me being curious. What are our clinics asking us to do better and faster? Who has an idea? Come off mute.
I think it's easier to say what our management is asking us to do better and faster, because we're
Okay.
trying to, grow our supplements in a challenging, it's kind of challenging when we have a lot of competition in that area, I guess is what I'm saying. So kind of stresses us out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one. I actually just got a call with for some reason I'm starting to have some damaged cans that are showing up at offices, and they want me to fix it because of maybe not properly shipped or something like that. I've had an increase, or I haven't for a while, and now all of a sudden I'm hearing that, and so they want you to fix it, and it's kind of a packing and shipping issue. And so that's kind of stressful to try to, keep on top of that with everything else that happens. So yeah, they want us to fix it.
Yeah. Thank you, Julie. So I'm hearing both management and client. All right, everybody, let's do a quick quiz. Let's type in the chat. How long do you think it took the telephone to get to 50 million users? The telephone. Type in the chat. How long do you think it took? Quick. Just a number. Just a guess. Okay. We have 10 years to 100 years. All right. How long do you think it took the internet to reach 50 millions? 5 years. So we see a decrease in years. How long do you think it took Facebook to get to 50 million users? Haley, you were as fast as me in those lines. Okay, let's see how we did. When we look at this, what's your reaction? What are we seeing? What's your reaction when you look at this? What do you see? Dwayne Brown, what's your reaction when you look at this?
I actually laugh because you got Pokemon going here at 19 days. That's crazy to me. I guess the adaptation of new technologies is getting faster and quicker over the time.
Yep. Not only that change is happening, it's also the speed of change is accelerating, right? As you see this, and that requires us to continue to work on how do we adapt to change, because change continue to drive us forward, and with change comes stress and how we respond to change. And so that's really the main topic of our discussion today, is how do we handle the stress that comes with change, comes with our work. Here are some statistics from the American Institute of Stress that remind us about the cost of stress. When you take a look at this, what statistics jumps out to you? Take a moment. Eric, what statistic jumps out to you?
I'd say 40% of workers said that their job was very stressful.
Yeah, and is that something you identify with?
At times, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can identify with that. And actually, for most of us, our job is the number one stressor. Katie Smith, what about you? What statistics jump out to you?
I would say that 29% had yelled at coworkers because of workplace stress. I can't say I've ever yelled at a coworker.
I hope not. I hope not, right?
So I hope it was something that stuck out, not relatable. I hope I didn't miss that.
No,
because I can't relate to that.
Yeah, you're good. I was in my master's program, and one of my classmates, he was interning at a company. It's a utility company, and he literally saw his manager slam the laptop while the person is still typing, just slam the laptop on their fingers. And like that can equate to being, it's even worse than being yelled at, is being physically assaulted by your coworkers, right? And these have not changed much throughout the year and throughout the pandemic. If anything, they have gotten worse over these past few years after the pandemic. And to deal with stress, we often need to examine what is causing it, and how we're currently dealing with it right now. So we're gonna hop into a quick breakout. Haley, let's do groups of 3 or 4. And when we're in a breakout, we're gonna have around 6 minutes to discuss, hey, what's been a major stressors over the last 6 months for you? And how are you dealing with these stressors? It could be relationship, it could be family, it could be work, right? Because whatever happens to us in our personal life can impact our work. So it just doesn't have to be just at work. It can be in our life in general, right? Relationship, family, work, your career, your promotion, or whatever, clients, whatever it is that's causing you stress over the last 6 months. And how are we currently dealing with these stressors? We're gonna jump into a breakout, 6 minutes, 3 or 4 people. Make sure your audio is on to discuss with your peers. Who has a question? Sweet. Haley, let's go for it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because around here, there's a couple rehabilitators that will take them and raise them and then put them back out into the wild.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie. Katie got us started talking about stressors, and she has 4 baby raccoons in front of her house. So it's been causing her a lot of stress. Let's annotate. Let's use our annotate tool, everybody, if it's possible for you. If not, go ahead and type in the chat. You can annotate, go to the top of your screen, hit view options, click annotate, and use the text tool. Let's type on the screen. On the left, what's been the major stressor over the last 6 months? And over the right, how are you dealing with these stressors? If you cannot annotate, go ahead and type in the chat and we'll put it on the screen for you. For instance, I would say my family has been the major stressors for me over the past six months because of events going on. And how I'm currently dealing with that stressor is deciding, hey, what's within my control and what's outside of my control, because I don't live my parents' life. So I cannot control how they want to behave, how they want to think. I can only control what I can do, is being there to support them, help them through with the transition, whatever it's going on. So for me, it's deciding on what I can control and let go of what I cannot. So that's how I've been dealing with it. What is it for you? On the left is a stressor. On the right is how are you dealing with that stressor? Okay. Lack of inventory. Balancing priority. So that lack of inventory thing, Eric, what's causing that for the lack of inventory?
I'm sorry, you said what's causing that?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I'm not too sure. But there are times where we don't have inventory of Fortiflora, for instance, and then it just kind of messes up how we're gonna, or how, trying to sell supplements and improve our supplement number, which is a big challenge this year because it's kind of high.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right, let me move some of this because they are laying on top of each other. If you're done with the left, go to the right, everyone. Like, how are you dealing with that? If you're done with the left, jump to the right. True. Oh, thank you, Haley. I don't know if it was you who took out a squiggly line. That's exactly what I was gonna do. For those of us who are done with both, what do you notice? What do you notice looking at this? Marcus, it looks like you got your computer figured out.
I knew you was gonna call on me, Tree. I knew it. I felt it. I felt
I
it.
like you. I like you.
Well, I mean, one thing I see when it comes to work, is that we all have a similar stressor. And I think that's just because that's been a huge focus for our division this year, right? So the expectation to succeed in our numbers, kind of counteracts when we don't have the product to sell. So that definitely becomes a stressor. So that not only kicks in with your number, it kicks in with your pay that you get at mid-year, a bonus. So a lot of things start adding on. And then once you talk about money, you can talk about, how we start dealing with these stressors. What can I do? It all kind of just trickles down, right? Because we're all here to get paid. We're all sales folks. And then when it comes down to money, that could also be a stressor that deals with our personal life too. So I think kind of all correlates.
Yeah, thank you. So that gets me really curious. So I'm wondering if who has been able to deal with that successfully. Like you're asked to sell and meet your goals. I'm sure that we have those high performing targets that we're trying to hit, and yet we're lacking supplies. Like who here feel like they found a way to handle that or overcome that challenge right now? Getting supply to meet the needs of your clinics, clients, meet your sales goal.
I think it's constant communication with your clinics has been key. We can try. What's that?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, we can try to, do alternate products or anything like that. But at the end of the day, we have to be upfront with them. We have to be honest with them. We have to communicate with them. Even though it's a big push, it's a big need. I mean, at the end of the day, we are the reps that are going to have to speak to our clinics. So we need to make sure that relationship, even if the product's not in stock or it's coming in a week or so, we just have to let them know that, hey, we're on top of it. We're working for them. The reassurance factor, because like I said, if it's not there, we can't do anything with it, right? You can't sell something that's not there. So we can just make sure that we keep our integrity with it and take care of the clinic.
Yeah. Thank you. Integrity, open and honest conversations with the clinics can be hard, right? If you tell them like, hey, I don't have the products for you. Big part of what can be tough, let me get this saved. A big part of what can be tough about stress and these things that's causing stress is that it's a tough cycle to break. I'm talking about like the mental cycle that we deal with. So let me clear this out for everybody. When we say, oh my God, I am so stressed out, type in the chat. You have to close out your annotate tool though. Close out your annotate tool and then type in the chat. When was the last time you said this to yourself? Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. Maybe this week, maybe for some of us this morning when we found out we had raccoon in our front yard this morning. Okay, so it's very recent for many of us. So let's keep typing. When you're so stressed out, what kind of emotions do you feel? Yeah. What kind of emotions do you feel when you're so stressed out? Frustrated, overwhelmed, tired. Yeah. Anxious. Yep. All right. So how do we act? Think about how do we act towards others? How do we approach others when we feel those emotions? When we're anxious, we're disappointed, we're overwhelmed, we're tired. How do we tend to act? Yeah. And usually it's our family who's on the short end of that, right? When we take that stress home with us and we take it out on them. On edge, short fuse, and what kind of results do we get when that happens? What's the impacts? Kind of results do we get when that happens? Let's type in the chat again. Not the kind that we need. Okay. Not as good. Love the specificity. I cannot say that word. Love how specific we are. Not good, not the kind that we need. Right. So Meg says it feels even worse, more anxious, and it ties back to the cycle. It's like it becomes a cycle that is hard to break. The type of results could also be, sever relationship. It could also be we feel demotivated to continue to keep pushing, right? Because we're frustrated and that we are snappy and we have all those emotions. So it could impact us professionally and also personally. So there is a study about stress, and it talks about the impact of stress. And before I share the results of the study, let's just imagine that we're taking the study. So this is a 8-year-long study, and it looks at the impact of stress, and it asks 2 central questions. And the first question is, in the past 12 months, how much stress would you say you have experienced? So it's either low, moderate, or high. So let's imagine if we're taking that test. And if you have to type in the chat, how much stress would you say you have experienced over the past 12 months? Low, moderate, or high? Okay. Okay, high, moderate. Okay. Not seeing low. All right. And then the second question that it asks is, do you think stress is bad for you? Yes or no? Do you think stress is bad for you? So if you say not always, it means you don't think stress is bad for you entirely, right? I do know that survey forces you to answer either yes or no, right? For those of us who might say it depends on how big of that stress is, right? And the more I think about it, it's irregardless of how big the stress is how we approach it. So what they did was they did this study, and then they tracked the public death records over 8 years. So from 1998 to 2004, 8 years, they see how many people die essentially from that survey, and they tracked it. What they found is this number 43%. What do you think this number 43% represents? What do you think 43% represents? Let's see here. Rachel, what do you think it represents?
I have no idea. My God, I don't know. 43% died before a certain age.
Yeah, so very close. It's people who say they experience high level of stress were 43% more likely to die. That's the bad news. The good news is only when they think stress is bad for them. So if you think stress is bad for you and you experience high level of stress, that combination leads to 43% more likely to die. And they also looked at people who experienced high level of stress and did not think stress was bad for them. Those people actually had the lowest risk of anyone in the entire study. People who experienced high level stress, did not think stress was bad for them, experienced the lowest risk of anyone in the entire study. Brittany, what's your thought with this study? Okay, Brittany, we'll come back to you. Sandra, what's your thought?
I think it's interesting. I think it just depends on how you perceive or, just how your reaction to it, just because I think people handle things differently. So some people get overly stressed and it's hard for them to to really balance and just handle it. I think other people are just cope better with it. So I think it's just kind of how you perceive it, and your response to it.
Yeah, thank you. And Sandra, why do you think someone responds to stress better than others? Like certain people respond to stress better than other people.
I kind of think it could be like viewed two ways. I think some people just perform better under stress. I think they just have that personality. For me, I think with stress, I think a lot of things that stress a lot of other people out don't stress me out. So I think that a different part where just kind of how you perceive it, the way it affects you, the way you cope with it. But then other people just also just perform fine under stress. It actually motivates them.
Yeah. Thank you. So there's that curve, like certain amount of stress would motivate us, and then when it's become too much, then it can it can negatively impact. But there's a part where before you reach that point where
Their threshold,
a threshold that can be motivating for us. Thank you. One key insight for this one also is that it's not the stress that kills us, because they look at two groups who experience high level of stress, but one group did not think stress was bad for them. They had the lowest risk compared to the group who had high level of stress and did think stress was bad for them, had the highest percentage of likability that they're gonna die. So it's not the stress that kills us, it's the way we think about stress. And there is this formula when talking about stress that can come into play to help us gain perspective, and it's E plus R equals O. E plus R equals O. Ryan, thoughts on what the E, R, and O stand for? What is your thought? E, R, and O. What do you think they stand for?
I honestly have no idea.
That's all right. That's all right.
Like I can't even begin to imagine what that is.
Okay, so if I tell you E stands for the environment, what do you think R stands for? E stands for the external factors, the environment.
Am
I causing you stress right now?
Yes. Reaction.
Okay, all right. It's all right, Ryan. You'll find out soon. Denise, let's help him out. What do you think R stands for?
Would it be like relative? So if there's external, like would R be something for like the internal, like
Yeah. I'll give that to you. Yes. And then O, what do you think O stands for?
opportunity?
Yeah, you're very close. You're very close, Denise. Thank you. Let's look at this. So E stands for event. R stands for reaction. And O stands for outcome, right? So this is a formula that we can leverage when we're dealing with stress, because we might or might not have control over the event. We don't have control of how much supply that we're getting. We don't have a lot of control over that, right? And a lot of time it stresses us out, because that's the reality that we're dealing with, and that we also have to hit our goals. And then that plus our reaction can impact the outcome of the situation. And reaction here is something that we have 100% control. We have 100% control of our reaction. Sometimes you forget that, right? And somebody says it's the difference between react and respond. What is the difference between react and respond? Let me see who I can talk to. Stephanie, what do you think is the difference between reacting and responding?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. That's okay. That's all right. Meg, what do you think? Help Stephanie and me out. What do you think is the difference between reacting and responding?
Well, I can take a stab at it. Reacting is just just how you react to a certain event that happens to you. And then what was the second part? I'm sorry.
Responding.
Respond.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess react would maybe be more, it could be like more internal, and then like the other could be how you lash out or how you pursue it on other people, or, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah. And what you're saying is also when we're reacting, there's also that impulsiveness, and right, we are reactionary, right? We whatever happens, we let it impact us, sometimes in negative ways. With responding, there's a level of control and a level of choice of like things happens. How can I choose to respond in this situation?
Right, kind of like your attitude, how you say they like change your attitude. So
yes. So if you're looking at Maya Angelou quote that says, if you can't change something, change. If you can change something, change it. Absolutely change it. Get out of it if it's possible. You cannot change something, change your attitude. And that's a quote that can remind us to approach stress in a different way in many situations. So for instance, if we say, hey, there's more competitors coming into the market these days, and that I have a negative attitude and decide this won't work, what do you think would happen to the outcome? What do you think happens to the outcome? When this is the external event, and then I have a negative attitude and decide this won't work, what do you think would happen to the outcome? See here, Chelsea, thoughts?
Probably not as positive.
Yeah. And
lose the business.
Say that one more time.
They'd probably lose the business.
I probably lose the business because, you know, when my productivity goes down because of the attitude that I have, and my morale goes down, so then I sell less and stay stressed, and that can make me lose the business. So when we think about this, when we think about responding instead of reacting, we can say same thing. More competitors are coming into the market, and by responding, we can start with asking, how do I want this to happen? Like, how do I want this to unfold? I can either be demoralized, I can be stressed out, and that would impact my productivity and morale. I can also choose, how do I want this to happen? And essentially my goal is I want to maintain my clients and find ways to elevate greener products, even when there are competitors coming into the market. That's my goal. So with that in mind, if that's my goal, John, what do you think should be my response? Given that there's competitors in the coming into the market, and my goal is to maintain my clients and find ways to elevate greener products, what do you think should be some of my response to stay on top of this?
I would maintain my clients on, education.
Okay.
More training, build a relationship, just things like that to keep your clients, close to you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Re-educate, continue to stay in touch with the clients, continue to strengthen that partnership with the clients. The majority of clients prefer to buy from someone who they trust versus someone who offers them a better price. So when we continue to strengthen the relationship with the clinics, we can stay on top of our competition, which is a very different response than having a negative attitude and deciding, I'm just going to be drowned out by my competition. So the trick with this formula is when something happens, we can ask ourselves, what do I want the outcome to be? And then we can work backward and ask ourselves, so how should I respond in this to get the outcome that I am looking for? What is our reaction to this formula? Event plus reaction equals outcome. What is our reaction to this formula? Let's see here. And Rachel, what's your reaction to this formula?
I think it makes perfect sense. I think if obviously something is, some sort of event is happening, it's solely based on your reaction and how you're going to handle it and what outcome you want to come from that. So I think it's something that I think I need to learn and start incorporating more into my life as well, and how I react to certain events and what I want to come from them. But I like it. I think it's simple enough too, and something that hopefully I can learn from moving forward.
Yeah, thank you. And just like you said, when something happens, you can ask, okay, so what do I want to happen out of this? And so that's going to lead you to how should I respond to get what I'm looking for, even with this event that's throwing my way, right? Thank you. So let's look at some ways for us to fill into that reaction piece so that we get the outcome that we're looking for. In terms of maintaining our relationships with our clients, continue to build that partnership, and also continue to hit our goals despite all these challenges. The challenges that we face are the events, and the outcomes are what we want out of our work, out of our life. So it's up to us to be intentional about the type of reactions that we have, the type of response that we have. So Dale Carnegie has left us 10. He actually has 30 stress and worry principle. We're just going to look at 10 today. And this is from the book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Raise your hand if you've heard that book before. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Well, consider it a crash course today for you. The top principles from that book that we're going to be looking at. Dale Carnegie wrote this in the 1940s. And there was a lot of change and stress happening at that time. Like there was a world war going on. There's a lot of poverty. We're coming out of the recession, so the depression. So there's a lot going on, and people were stressed out. And his first principle is living in day-tight compartment. There's an 80-20 rule. Many of us in sales are familiar with this rule. 20% of our clients produce 80% of our revenue, our goals, our profit. And with this, it's asking ourselves, what's within my control regarding the situation? And what can I do today? Going back to that quote, Maya Angelou says, if you can't change something, change it. You cannot change your attitude. So that's the first principle. The second principle is asking yourself, what is the worst that can happen that can help release nervous energy and prepare to accept the worst and try to improve upon it. Let's say that my inventory is running low. I don't have the inventory and I go and talk to the clinic. What's the worst that can happen? Somebody come off mute and tell us. If you tell, hey, sorry, we don't have that inventory running short, what's the worst that can happen?
They can go somewhere else.
They go somewhere else. Absolutely. And they get a different products from a different vendor. And this quote says, hey, if you're willing to accept that, if you're willing to accept the worst, and then the next step is prepare to accept it and then try to improve upon it. When we say, okay, so what can I do when I'm in this situation where I don't have that inventory? What can I do to not get them to go to another person? That gets us into thinking about the solution mode. Okay, so I don't have this inventory. What else can I bring in these conversations to get them to stay with us, or to get them to give me an extension? It gets us thinking about how can I move past this with my client. So that's another way for us to manage stress and the worry that we feel. The next one is filling our mind with thoughts of peace, courage, and health. The gratitude can trigger the release of dopamine and serotonin in the brain. And this is a psychologist at UC Davis, and he says that gratitude can build up that psychological immune system that cushions us when we're dealing with stress. One way for us to do this, does anybody write their client thank you cards? Marcus, you do? Nice. Do you handwrite it? Do you like send electronic thank you cards? What do you do?
So during COVID, we actually had these, your essential, these printed cards, and I kind of overdid it and ordered a bunch of them. So anytime there's a promo, a swap, holidays, if I can remember birthdays, I send them a handwritten note on those cards.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we don't get those anymore, and it feels so special when we get them, and that increases the relationship that we have with the clinic. I have a client who is gonna be in labor, in October, so I put it on my calendar just to make sure that I send her something. So to continue to, that's one way for me to fill my mind with thoughts of peace, courage, health, and hope, is to spread happiness for other people, which ties to number 4, which is the random acts of kindness can reduce our cortisol level and increase a level of dopamine and serotonin. When I think about this and how it might apply to us at Nestle, is that we, for us in sales in general, is this idea of buoyancy. We get a lot of rejection. We get a lot of no's when we're in sales. And one way for us to overcome that is to think about the idea of buoyancy. Is how can I continue to stay afloat amidst the ocean of rejections? And the strategy is, and this is from the book the book To Sell is Human from Daniel Pink, and he says we need to have 3 positive experiences to offset 1 negative experience. So a negative experience is being rejected by our client or clinics. They say no to us. Then we got to offset it with 3 positive experiences on a regular basis for us to continue to stay buoyant in our world of sales. And creating happiness for others is one way for us to create 1 positive experience. It could be being willing to help another sales rep and giving them advice is one way. The next one is keeping busy. Who has an idea of why this is a stress and worry principle, keeping busy? It doesn't seem to make sense to me. Julie.
Well, when you are busy and you are productive, it gives you more of an opportunity to be productive. And it kind of takes your mind off of all the stress that you might have. And it gives you an opportunity to be, like I said, getting those positive experiences. If you're just sitting around feeling sorry or feeling stressed, it kind of can pile up on you, I think.
Yes. You said, instead of sitting around, because our mind is really great at dwelling on the negatives. We have this thing called a negativity bias, right? So when we're sitting around, we're dwelling on that. The key with this principle is to take action. I talked to this person in roofing construction, and he talks about this thing called the law of diffusion of innovation. And what he means by that is, once you can get your foot in the door with one person in the neighborhood, it's slowly going to diffuse out, and it increases your chance of the rest of the neighbors going to say yes to you replacing their roof. So it only takes one homeowners to say yes, and then you deliver quality products, and you walk to the next neighbor and you say, hey, did you see John's new roof? Do you like it? Yeah. And then it diffuses slowly over time. That's how you take over a whole neighborhood, which is a very interesting business. And his way of applying this principle is him asking himself, what is one money generating activity I can do today to keep myself busy? And that reduces the stress that you feel, and it keeps you productive, just like Julie said. Thanks, Julie. The next one is putting enthusiasm into your work. Putting enthusiasm into your work. And the best story that I've heard for this principle has to do with the car company Subaru. Raise your hand if you've heard of Subaru before. Raise your hand if you own a Subaru. Does anybody own a Subaru here? Kim, do you own a Subaru?
No, we have before though.
Okay. So, I mean, even if we don't own it, we're at least familiar with the brand of Subaru, right? And there's this plant manager, her name is Denise, and she's an actual person at one of the Subaru plants. And her facility produces 180,000 car per day. Vehicles, actually per year, I apologize, 180,000 vehicles per year. And she was tasked with reducing 15 tons of landfill generated per day by the plant. And her task is to reduce that. And first she was overwhelmed, it causes her stress, right? It's kind of like her reality is like, they want us to get this done quickly, but then I don't have a lot of resources to do it. What do I do? It's causing her stress. And then she decided to take a different approach and thinking about the impact of how the Subaru owners would love it if they know their car was produced in a factory and facility that didn't produce any land waste. And then she also thought about the pride of her coworkers when they have successfully reduced this amount of waste. So then she literally began diving into the work, analyzing what kind of trash is being collected, where it came from, learning why it was there in the first place. And then slowly over 2 years, she garnered support from her peers, from others, and slowly all 3,700 coworkers at the plant. So people also actually started feeling the enthusiasm that she has. And actually, eventually, she and her team pulled it off. And she said that it's a 3.8 million squares facility, and it sends less trash to the dumpster than what she puts out on her curb each week. And for her, it's the idea of thinking about the impact that of our work on our clients, on the people that we work with. So let's think about this. How do we evaluate the impact? How do we understand the impact of our work at Nestle Purina? What are some ways for us to do that, to find out about the impact of what we do?
Our sales numbers.
Okay, your sales numbers. Yeah, and what does that tie to in terms of impact?
Our overall, productivity and what we're doing out in the field.
Mm-hmm. Yep, your sales number, like it helps the bottom line, right? And we can even broaden out the word impact here is the impact on the clinic. So when I'm talking about the impact with the clinics, what does that make you think of in regarding our work and tying it to the impact of the clinic? What does that make you think of?
That they trust us.
Yeah.
That we're a valuable resource.
Uh-huh.
They have confidence in us.
Yes. Because essentially, when we think about, let's not think about us for a second. Let's think about the clinic. Essentially, what do we help them solve? Like, what's our goal? What do we set out to help them solve? When we think about their perspective, what we can bring. Essentially, what do we help them solve, everyone?
Well, improving the lives of pets.
Mm-hmm.
Number one priority.
Yep. So that's another way for us to think about the impact is thinking about what do we aim to solve and seeing how is that being played out. Is like the life of pets is being improved with our products, right? So, investigate, talk to clinics and talk to pet owners and see how Nestle Purina products is changing their lives. There's plenty examples of how Nestle Purina products, diets, supplements are helping to improve the lives of pets, because many pet owners would only love to have a few more years with their pets, right? So when we can help extend the life of the pets, we are bringing joy to the world. So that's another way for us to be enthusiastic about what we do is the impacts that we can have. Yeah, make the client's life better. Absolutely. Number 7 is cooperate with the inevitable. How much control do we have over the inventory? or the shortage of inventory. Zero control. So this is a principle that reminds us to think about, hey, in what way can I work with this instead of resisting it and being frustrated about it? Because if it's outside of our control, it's up to us to change our attitude. If we have zero control of the inventory shortage, what else can we do? And it also ties to number 8 is deciding just how much anxiety a thing is worth and refuse to give it more. And this is not just at the inventory level in general, it's about work in general. It's about life in general. Like with my parents, I decide how much anxiety that's going to cost me, what's within my control, and what's outside of my control. This is about a mental headspace. Because when we realize that not everything is within our control, we learn to let go a little bit more. That includes our work. That includes the outcomes with our clinics. There's things within our control. There's things outside of our control. Remember that, everybody, and that's gonna greatly alleviate some of the stress that we feel. And then number 9 is, this sounds preachy, doesn't it? Do the best you can. Just do the best you can. I thought about this, and for me, it's asking yourself, how can I excel at this? Another way is, how can I make the clinic love working with me and Nestle Purina? When I think about it that way, I'm going to do the best I can to achieve that. Or how can I hit my high performing target? Asking how helps us focus towards achieving our goals and help us do the best we can in the situation. 10 is counting your blessings and not your troubles. This requires us to shift our mindset and think about, one way for us to do this is to think about 3 things that we're grateful for. So let's type it in the chat right now, everyone. What are 3 things that you are grateful for? For me, is summer, friends, and fitness. I was able to go to the gym today before I jump on this call. So it's summer, friends, and fitness. That's 3 things that I'm grateful for today. What about you? Friends and families and pets? Yeah. Health? So if you don't have health, everyone, you don't have anything. If you don't have health, you literally have nothing. You cannot travel. You cannot do fun things. You cannot spend time with your friends and family. You cannot work. If we don't take care of our health, we are really the poorest person in the world. Life, family, music, friends, sunshine, yeah. Health, baseball. There you go. Okay, let's jump into a quick breakout real quick. And in there, everyone discuss which principles might make an impact in the way you handle stress. Which principles might make an impact in the way you handle stress? You might say, well, this principle doesn't really apply to me. Well, there's 9 other principles that you could potentially use. So if something doesn't work, choose another principle. Think about which one might make a positive impact in your life. Haley, let's do 3 and 4 people again, and let's do 8 minutes this time. Who has a question before we do that? Okay, here we go. Groups of 3 and 4. We'll share the screen with you. Discuss which one might make an impact in your world. Here we go. All right, let's see which group came back the latest. I'm gonna pick on them. Let's go with actually I'm not gonna be mean like that. Let's go to Ashley, Megan, and Sandra. What did you discuss?
Well, I think Ashley had a really good example. Ashley, do you want to share yours?
Oh, yes, sure, I will. So we talked about a lot, but like towards the end of the conversation, I was looking at like which one could I relate to? And so the long and short is I am doing a work with my manager, where she jumps in the car with me tomorrow. And it was
kind of sprung on me last minute, like yesterday. And so definitely like, okay, we're gonna have to get in the car, have to have appointments, have to like be meeting with decision makers, and all in like a 48-hour, notice. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I'm filling my mind with like positive thoughts. I'm gonna be enthusiastic about this work with, and also understanding that number 7, like it's inevitable, it's happening, because when your boss says, hey, can I jump in the car with you? I'm like, yeah, of course you can. Like, this sounds like a great idea, in 2 days. So that's where I'm at. I'm like, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be fine, it's positive. So yeah, this session is great. Actually, Sandra said that to me because we go on a family trip on Friday. So I'm like, this is what I want to do tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
But I'm gonna take all 10 of these principles and most likely apply them.
I mean, that's the goal, Ashley. That's the goal
Yes.
for us to apply them. It's gonna help with our mental attitude
For sure.
and with your situation. I'm keep hearing the questions like, or the intention of like, I'm gonna make the best out of this situation, right? In what way can I maximize this opportunity? Because I'm gonna be with my manager, I'm gonna be meeting with clients, so that's visibility right there for us to to showcase what you can do.
For sure. It's going to be positive because, taking your manager into, clinics always turns out to be successful because they bring a lot more to the table. They can say yes to more things. And it also makes these doctors and these practice managers feel really important when you bring your manager in as well. So there's a lot of positive that's going to come from it as well.
Yeah. There you go. So you're being aware of that negativity bias and you're deciding to flip it, right? Because it creeps in every chance it gets. Thank you. All right, let's hear one more before we wrap up. Let's go to Cassie, Kim, and Natasha. What did you discuss?
We discussed a couple of the principles, but I think the biggest one that resonates with me, so I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody else, is just number 10, like count your blessings every day. Like we get to wake up another day, like we have our health, like we can get up and go for a walk, like we're independent, we can go to work. Like there's some people who want to work who can't, like so it's always like being thankful for everything that you have for today and like looking at it, because some days are harder than others, but I think you still have to go into with that mindset of like, what, today, even if today was your worst day, like your worst day could be somebody's best day, so just count your blessings every day.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Kim, I saw you had a big smile as Natasha was speaking.
My husband and kids just walked in the back door, so they were tiptoeing in the background trying to be really quiet, and so I thought it was really cute.
That's cute. All right, everybody, let's type in the chat, which principle will you be intentional about? Will you be keeping top of mind next time when you feel overwhelmed and stressed out? Unexpected things happen to you and you're frustrated. Which principle will you keep top of mind for yourself? Okay, so it seems like 10 resonates with a lot of people. 8 is my favorite principle all time. 6, putting enthusiasm. Okay. 5, keeping busy. Yeah. Think about the idea of in what is one money goal generating activity that I can do today, right? When we think about that way, that's how we can keep being consistent and productive, keeping busy. So Dwayne, it's 8 and 9, 8 and 10. Yes. So you might be wondering, okay, so what's going to happen next? Today's our first accountability reinforcement session. So here is an overview of the upcoming session. So we did number 1 today. of managing stress and worry. The next session would be about establishing accountability partnership, meaning we're gonna get formally assigned with another person, and the goal is to help support us on our journey as a PVC. And then we'll discuss time and priority management. It seems like that's the topic that might be relevant to a lot of us, because we feel like we're being pulled in all different directions. Providing exceptional customer service experience, additional skills to help us elevate the experience, communicating and presence in sales, how we show up through verbal and nonverbal communication, our presence in general, and in building client and customer loyalty. Those are the topics, and those are the dates on the right-hand side for when they are. Take a moment and look. Who has a question about these sessions? Okay. Who has comments about these sessions before we close out?
I enjoyed this one. Thank you. I mean, I've enjoyed all of them, but
I got bad news. 8/13 is my birthday, so I probably won't be here for that one.
Hey, the 9th is my birthday, July 9th.
Okay.
I guess I'll be.
Or
I'll
I
be
might
here.
join from the beach. I might join from the beach if you don't mind. Just saying.
We can celebrate mine though. I'll be here.
We intentionally planned these on your birthday. Well, thank you for letting us know. If you still want to join, we'll be more than happy to sing you happy birthday on the call. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's what we can offer to those of us having birthdays in these sessions. Haley Short, anything else we need to pay attention to? Anything else you would like to tell us, Haley?
I don't believe so. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Haley. And we're gonna wrap up today. We're gonna save everybody 5 minutes of time and ending with this quote from Dale Carnegie, and he says, "It isn't what you have or who you are, or where you are on a beach, at home, in the mountains, or what you're doing, right? Driving around clinics with your manager, at home, spending time with your kids, or trying to get raccoons out of your front yard, that makes you happy or unhappy. It's what you think about. It's how you choose to respond. It's how you are setting up your mindset when you are responding to that situation, right? We can think, oh my God, my manager's riding with me, it's too much work. Or we can think, this is an opportunity for me to build relationship. So it's what we think about that makes us happy or unhappy. So let's continue to leverage the principle we just looked at to make us all happier in our lives. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
thank
Tree.
you.
Thanks, Tree.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.